Right, here's the percentage chance that one of the fighters here could be Ilia Topuria. And I'm kind of running off a high right now because our pick percentage for the year already is 74%. We almost went perfect on that card. If only I did not pick Cejudo. God knows why I did that. But anyways, I just had to mention that. That's why I'm going to be a bit confident with these picks right here. So, the first fighter I'm going to put on here is Aljamain Sterling. Where am I going to put him when he comes up against Ilia Topuria? A lot of you might think it should be in the low chance to possible. But in my opinion, based on how Ilia Topuria fights, I'm putting it in the won't happen category. I think he's going to struggle at featherweight. I know you might think he's kind of like big. And if you look at that picture of Volkanovski, he looked like he was actually bigger than him. Yet he can fight at bantamweight. Yeah, we know he's a big bantamweight. But Ilia Topuria has got the takedown defense just like Song Yadong. So the people who were saying that Song Yadong would have a good chance of beating Aljamain Sterling, which he probably would with the takedown defense he's got, Ilia Topuria's got that takedown defense, but pair it with very, very good jiu-jitsu to go with it as well. And with the level changing that Ilia Topuria does, it's going to be harder to shoot for like single and double legs because he's always like in the position to sprawl because he's not just standing upright the whole fight. So Aljamain would somehow have to like come out there and like swing a flying knee or something and get lucky to beat him, because I don't see him taking the back of Ilia Topuria like he could do to a guy like Jan, because Topuria's jiu-jitsu is good, takedown defense is good enough, and his striking, he would get knocked out if Aljamain decided to do what he did with O'Malley on the feet. So in my opinion, it will not happen. He will not beat Ilia Topuria for the featherweight title if he ever gets to that point. Right, the next fighter, Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen, believe it or not, I'm going to put him above Aljamain Sterling because he has more of a puncher's chance than a guy like Aljamain. I don't think he can beat Ilia Topuria because I think, again, Arnold Allen kind of rushes at people with his chin quite open, which is why he got dropped by a jab by Movsar Evloev. Ilia Topuria doesn't really drop people with jabs, but what he does is use that lead hand to kind of measure the distance and then fire off that backhand. And if you lunge in with your chin held up, he can time that perfectly. And not only that, he fights in this like, I don't even know what era you would call that, with his hands up high. It looks like how people would fight back in the 1800s, if I'm honest with you. And I just don't think that could work against him because he's not going to take him down. He would just get dropped in this fight. I could see Ilia Topuria, even though Arnold Allen's got good like jiu-jitsu, getting dropped and getting submitted or ground and pounded. I see a finish in that fight, but I'll put him in low chance because he does have power and he can throw some leg kicks, which he could throw at Ilia Topuria, which Ilia Topuria, he doesn't really teep and check a lot of them. He absorbs them, but he hasn't got better leg kicks than Volk, so I'm not going to move him up in this category. So, the next fighter, Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley, I'm not putting him in the likely because I think he should be underdog going into that fight, but I put it impossible. I know he's a bantamweight and you're going to be like, how is a guy like him going to put him down? One, watch that Jai Herbert fight back with Ilia Topuria. I know it was ages ago and he still ended up winning that fight, but I'm saying it's possible because Sean O'Malley, again, he's a very tall guy and Ilia Topuria, again, likes the level change. And with Sean O'Malley, he can throw like looping shots at his opponent. So I can see him getting that looping uppercut working. And that's a fight where I believe he can drop Ilia, but Ilia will come back and he'll resort to fighting like a Dagestani fighter, taking him down and doing what he did against Josh Emmett in the later rounds. And that is how he would beat a guy like O'Malley. But I'm saying earlier on, I think he could be a problem. Like round one, I can see Sean O'Malley beating him, like using his good footwork, using good lateral movement, attacking the legs. Like there was a low calf kicks, which Joe Rogan has a bias towards. Yeah, so he would throw those low leg kicks. And Ilia Topuria, in the first round, it's kind of like, again, he tries to make reads, a bit like Piotr Jan. He doesn't really do that much in the first round. He hasn't got a high output in the first round. He's trying to like have a feel for the fight, see what you're trying to do, and then the second round, go into gear 3, gear 4, gear 5. And Sean O'Malley, in the first round, he tends to do quite well a lot of the time. By like jabbing, like using these like hand fakes, not celebration, like these hand fakes to try and like make you bite on it and then throw his punch after. And that would be a problem in the first round, which is why I think it would be possible for him to win the fight, but he wouldn't win the fight. But he has got a chance of beating Ilia Topuria. So the next opponent, Max Holloway. Max Holloway, for me, depending on how the Gaethje fight goes, if he doesn't take too much damage, I'm putting him in likely. Like, you've got to think, the only problem with Max Holloway is he's had to fight Volkanovski, and Volkanovski is his bogeyman. He's fought him 3 times. He got 50-45. They don't see a guy like Ilia Topuria 50-45 in him, and that's because Volkanovski can match the technicality of a guy like Holloway and read him out. He's got a high fight IQ, we know. Volkanovski. And Max Holloway, good head movement, good like adjustments with his footwork. And again, that is why I think it would be a problem for Ilia Topuria, because again, Sean O'Malley's not as big as Max Holloway. And Max Holloway, in my opinion, has got better striking than Sean O'Malley. Like, you watch back that fight with what's his name? Matinho. And he was getting hit in the pocket quite a few times, even though he won that fight. And even with Almeida, he was getting clipped a few times. But he did dominate him apart from that. But I'm just saying, Max Holloway, his head movement's going to be way better than O'Malley's. Like, O'Malley, he's got extremely good footwork. He's got decent head movement. But it's not like Max Holloway, who has got both of them, the full package. Good head movement, good footwork. And he's never been chinned before. We've seen O'Malley against Vera. Even though he got injured, I believe he did get like knocked out at one point on the floor and got woke back up by another punch. We've never seen Holloway get dropped. And I know you might say, oh, but Topuria's got like extremely good power. The hardest hitting 145 pounder. When I knock people out, they don't fucking move. Yes, that is true. Like when that cringy Josh Emmett said that. Not Josh Emmett. Oh my God. I'll forget their names. Jeremy Stevens, when he said that. And another thing, Topuria will struggle just to take him down because Max Holloway, I don't think his takedown defense is that bad, really. It really isn't. And because of the footwork as well, he's going to struggle to shoot in and do what he does. I think because of the range, when he's throwing those fakes and feints, he don't just throw feints, by the way, fakes. Topuria is going to have to bite on them because of how long the arms of Max Holloway are. Because when you're throwing that jab, even as a fake, because he doesn't have T-Rex arms like Volk, when his arm's straight out in front of him, Topuria is going to see that and he's going to have to constantly move his head off the centre line, even on fakes. Whereas against a guy like Volkanovski, when Volkanovski's throwing a punch, he doesn't always have to move his head off the centre line. Yeah, it'd be ideal, but he can get away with it more. With every punch that Max Holloway's throwing, he's got to be moving his head consistently. So his cardio is going to have to be perfect in this fight. And I don't worry about his cardio, because he's got like a balanced approach to a fight. He doesn't rush things, he takes his time. But when it comes to who's going to preserve their cardio better, I think it will be Max Holloway, because he doesn't have to throw powerful strikes. And another thing, Ilia Topuria likes the level change. This is another thing I've noticed as well. When you like to level change, you are very open to strikes down the centre and like knees and kicks to the body. We've seen that Holloway is mixing up more kicks to the body now, and punches, to be fair. And I can see the uppercut that he dropped Volk landing on Ilia Topuria straight through the middle. I'm not saying he'd knock him out, because I don't think he would. I do think though, and this is like a very hot take, even though he doesn't have that much power, just the fact that Ilia Topuria is going to be moving into those punches, like with the level change, I can see Max Holloway actually dropping Topuria but not finishing him. I really can, because when you level change and you've got a guy who likes to throw these uppercuts from the bottom and you move into the punch, because of momentum, you can get dropped by it. But like I said, I will repeat it again, he will not finish him. And then it'll be a fight where he's able to like stay on the outside and Topuria has to kind of like rush him, because Max Holloway is like very tricky to catch at times. Yes, he's being hit more often, you might say, but he's still got good head movement. And the guys who are hitting him, okay, Volkanovski was shorter and he was hitting him, but his fight IQ is extremely high. I think Topuria won't be catching him how Volkanovski was doing, because the whole fight, Max Holloway was just going forward. He wasn't really backing up a lot. And I've noticed against Chan Sung Young, when he fought more of a counter-striking style, staying on the outside, he was able to actually catch Chan Sung-yong more. And I think he will do that approach against a guy like Ilia Topuria, where he can just stay on the outside. Don't just constantly walk forward and try and move your head, because you're going to get popped in the face, especially by Topuria. And Topuria's got a higher chance of knocking him out than a guy like Volkanovski did at knocking Max Holloway out. So I think he's going to be on the outside, countering him, making it frustrating for Ilia Topuria, and Topuria will start to gas for the first time in his career due to the fact that he's struggling to land on Max Holloway because he's going backwards and looking to counter, and with those body punches, which Topuria does as well. He goes low to the body and then comes up to the head. But the fact that Topuria doesn't really throw a lot of uppercuts. Here he comes low and then up, but it's usually to the body and then to the head. It's not really like throwing uppercuts and then following up over the top. It's usually hooks coming from the side and then the opposite hand coming over the top. So I've got Max Holloway in likely, and I think he would beat Ilia Topuria, which is why I believe this division could have a massive reshape up, as long as Volkanovski don't retire. Because Volkanovski is still in the mix of things, but I don't know if he's got the ability to beat Topuria. Max Holloway, yes, but against Topuria, I'm not sure about that because of the power, the matchup, like what he's used to fighting. Yeah, I've said enough about that. Probably too much. But anyways, that's what I think. So Volkanovski isn't here, but he was meant to be. So I'll talk about him now. So just pretend Volkanovski's here. I would put Volkanovski in, and you're going to hate this, possible. I'm not going to put him in low chance because, again, he does have a chance to do it. And realistically, you might think I should be putting him in won't happen. And you'd be like, how can you put Sean O'Malley above a guy like Volkanovski? And I would say to you, he's never fought him before. He's never been knocked out brutally twice like Volkanovski has. But what I will say is Volkanovski, he kind of knows how he fights now. So he could make adjustments to where he could beat Topuria. But I don't think he'll do it. Even though I'm saying he could make adjustments to try and do it, he won't do it, in my opinion. But I have to put him in the possible category without being delusional, because we know what Volk can do. Stay on the outside and leg kick and avoid Ilia Topuria's right hand. But what he needs to do is now circle off to a different direction and just a leg kick, because the footwork was looking good before the knockout. But what went wrong was he started going straight backwards after getting hit and not circling away from the cage. He left his back flat up against the cage, which allows Topuria to rush at him and then catch him with that devastating combo that knocks him the fuck out. So I'm going to put him in possible, but I'm not putting him in likely to beat Topuria. I'm sorry, I'm just not. Brian Ortega, I'm going to put it won't happen. And I'll tell you why it won't happen. Because Brian Ortega, his wrestling is not good. He's one of those jiu-jitsu guys where he's got alright boxing offensively. Defensively, not great. Wrestling, not great. Jiu-jitsu, very good. And his best job of beating Topuria is if somehow Topuria is dumb, uses a negative fight IQ like Amanda Lemos against Stern, and shoots him for like a double leg and allows himself to get guillotined. That's the only way he would win. Because he's not going to knock him out. He's not going to be able to get him down because of how strong Topuria's takedown defense is. He would have to strike with him on the feet. Brian Ortega doesn't have the best head movement. You had Max Holloway teaching him how to move his head during the fight when throwing punches. No way would he go out there and beat Topuria unless he gets like a fluke submission or Topuria just level changes and goes to the clinch where Brian Ortega can grab his neck. Right, Yair Rodriguez. Yair Rodriguez, right, I'm going to put him in... I don't think he would beat Topuria, but I'm going to put him above Sean O'Malley in the possible category. Because with Yair Rodriguez, one thing, which is the failure in his career, cardio. If you don't have cardio, you're not going to beat a guy like Ilia Topuria, because I think even though he's got like a very tricky style for Topuria by throwing a lot of leg kicks like we saw against, what was his name, Jai Herbert, who knocked him down, that could be a problem. And he won't see where the kicks are coming from because Yair Rodriguez has got like a way of throwing kicks that are hard to read. because he's got a very versatile asset of kicks. You don't just throw the same kick over and over again. You see them do bicycle kicks like he's playing football, or soccer as Americans call it. And not only that, like flying combinations in the air. And he's got underrated jiu-jitsu as well. So in a weird way, listen carefully here. In a weird way, he could get a fluke submission over Topuria. It won't happen. But he has got the ability to do it. Because he's got underrated jiu-jitsu. Look at Josh Emmett. Who would have thought that Josh Emmett would have got submitted by Yair Rodriguez? You wouldn't think that. You would have thought it would have been by like a KO or something. But he's very tricky on the ground. And if you shoot on him unprotected, earlier on in the fight, it could be a problem. Because you look at the fight with Jeremy Stephens. He got out-grappled in the third round due to cardio. And his takedown defense isn't really that great. Which is why I think Topuria would be worried about his striking, and he would turn into a Dagestani wrestler, and he would take down Yair Rodriguez and just bully him on the ground. If Max Holloway's doing it, I can guarantee you Ilia Topuria would have so much more ease. And because he throws a lot of body shots as well, you would have to be careful though. And I'll say you have to be careful because, again, Yair Rodriguez throws a lot of body kicks. And if you're level changing again, you are very open to that kick to the face. So that's why I'm saying possible, like high possible. You could borderline put him in likely, but I don't think likely because I don't think he will beat him. Because of the cardio. Because of the, the takedown defense. He will be taken down and controlled. I don't think he'll be submitted, but I think he'll just be held down. He'll be drained. And you know what? There is a possible chance that Topuria submits him or gets like a ground and pound finish due to fatigue and just Yair Rodriguez being on his back and just getting gassed out and not having the best cardio. So yeah, I'm going to put him impossible above O'Malley. Right, the next fighter. Movsar Evloev. Evloev for me is in the possible category. Again, above O'Malley. And the reason I'll say above O'Malley is his takedowns. One thing I've noticed from him, he sometimes struggled to get good control. Like we saw against Arnold Allen, who's got relatively good takedown defense. Movsar Evloev, he will get takedowns, but you'll see opponents get back up to the feet. Like Dan Ige got up a few times. You get him down. But his striking's actually really good. But he hasn't got power. Even though he dropped Arnold Allen with a jab, Allen is a fighter where he is quite easy to drop. Like a featherweight Dan Hooker dropped him. He was drained. And when you're drained, your power's obviously going to be worse. Yeah, he won the fight. But it's because he just comes rushing at you in like phases of like a blitz. And that's why I don't want to move him up to possible. Because even though you might think it is possible, I don't think it is. Because of how high he leaves his chin up. And Movsar Evloev, even though I believe he did not beat Arnold Allen, I believe it should have been a 29-28. It was a close fight. You can give it to Evloev, but in my opinion, did not win that fight. He can do things to Ilia Topuria, for example. That flying knee, he does throw them a lot. And he could do a Ben Askren to Masvidal. Opposite way around, sorry. It's the brain damage kicking in for me. I don't know what it is. Yeah, the flying knee by Movsar Evloev could catch him and drop him. That would be something that you'd have to look out for. Plus, Ilia Topuria will not get him down because, again, Evloev's a better wrestler. He's got good takedown defense. He kind of is a technical striker who doesn't have that much power, but can do damage visually to your face in a fight. And I believe he would give away rounds. For example, you saw in the Arnold Allen fight, he slowed down in the third round. I don't know why. He didn't need to. I don't even think he was tired. He just didn't look to throw. Maybe he thought he had the fight in the bag after the first two rounds and slowed down. So being like over complacent cost him... Well, he won, but I'm saying like over complacent caused him to be a bit slow in the third round. And against Ilia Topuria, this fight should have been made a long time ago. But I think the takedown defense would make it hard for a guy like a guy like Movsar Evloev to do anything with the takedowns, and he could potentially get submitted against Movsar Evloev. The key to beating a guy like Evloev is a guy who's going to jump guillotine whilst he's shooting in for double legs. And if you can get a guy who can shoot on them, and if you can get a guy who can constantly like pull that guillotine, you could actually finish Evloev. And Ilia Topuria has got jiu-jitsu where he could submit, Evloev. Evloev's best chance of winning this is by just hugging him Merab style to a decision. But I don't think you can do that because Topuria is too good of a wrestler to allow someone to hug him. I don't think I've seen Ilia Topuria on his back once. He probably has, but to my knowledge, I can't think of a time when a guy... I need to have a look at this. 1 second. Oh yeah, Bryce Mitchell did. I forgot to mention. But he didn't really do much with the takedowns. Like with the takedown, not takedowns, he didn't do anything. It was just control and looking to like land like a punch. But that was it. He couldn't do anything with the takedown. So honestly, I'm going to leave him there for now. Because yes, Evloev would get him down at least once, but he won't hold him down, as John Jones said. And yeah. Edson Barboza. I've got to put him in won't happen. Because what Edson Barboza would have to do is go for them knees like he did to, what was his name, Beneil Dariush. Them spinning wheel kicks, you can't do them against a guy like Topuria. One, he's quite short. I know Barboza isn't tall, but Topuria is very short. If you throw the spinning head kicks, because Topuria level changes with a tight guard, he'll be able to like duck underneath it. And once you throw a spinning head kick, you give away your back. And once you give away your back against a guy like Topuria, to be fair, we haven't really seen him do anything like amazing when he takes someone's back. Like we haven't actually seen that. But I think if Barboza gave away his back, he would get submitted. Like, look what Bryce Mitchell did to Edson Barboza. He made him look subhuman in terms of like, he couldn't defend anything. He looked lost. He looked confused. He didn't know what to do. He even got dropped by Bryce Mitchell. So he's at the point where his age... Yes, he could have some good success with kicks to the body because of the level changing, but I don't think that would be good enough to beat Topuria. I think after watching that first round of Sodiq Yusuff, Topuria could probably KO Edson Barboza in the first round because he's just a bit gun shy now, and if you can put him against the cage, it can cause him problems. So I'll move on to Sodiq Yusuff. Again, won't happen. He's like Terence McKinney, round one. And if it doesn't go great in round one, I've noticed, he is going to fade. Like, how do you bottle? How would you get to the point where you've got a 10-8? You could have almost got a 10-7 in that round, almost. And then throw away every round. Cardio? Trying to go for the finish? Maybe. So that's why I'm going to put him in won't happen, and I just don't think he's got the ability to beat a guy like Topuria. His boxing's decent. He has power. But I think the head movement of Topuria will allow so many counter opportunities to land on a guy like Sodiq Yusuff, who holds that tight guard as well, but is going to be very open to be getting caught with counters because he keeps his head central. He doesn't really move his head that much, and he can march you down at times without cutting off the cage, which can lead you to be getting caught flat-footed and hit like a lot of boxers do. So, lastly, because I'm hearing a lot of people talking about this in some comments, Islam Makhachev, without a doubt, would beat Ilia Topuria if he ever moved up. One, way too big for Ilia Topuria. Two, I believe he's just better than him in every area. Like, his striking is so underrated, Islam Makhachev. It might not be now to people, but I just think his is more effective. You might not think it's more technical, but it's way more effective than Topuria. He hits hard, not as hard as Topuria, but that being said, you know what? Because of the weight, he probably does hit harder. Like, if you took a punch off both of them, Makhachev's would probably hurt more because of the weight. I've got to be honest with myself here. And also, he has got extremely good wrestling. Yeah, you were saying in the first Volt fight he couldn't do anything with the takedowns, which is correct. And Ilia Topuria has elite takedown defense. But I think you're forgetting, when you are much bigger than the other guy, like he would be against Ilia Topuria, it doesn't matter. He will get him down. He could hug him and win a fight by just hugging him on the ground. It's a boring thing to do, but it can win you a fight if you allow your opponent to do no damage. And I believe that's what Makhachev could do. I don't think he would submit Topuria, but I do think he would hold him down, and it would be like a boring 5-round fight. I'd want it to be interesting with the striking, but I think Makhachev would know that Topuria's got very dangerous striking, very good head movement. Makhachev's head movement isn't amazing, but he's got good footwork and he's very good at rhythm stepping. So he's always on his toes. But if they fought, I would honestly have to go with Makhachev. So yeah, that's the list. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone, because this is what I feel. I know some people aren't going to agree, and that's fine. Just say what you want. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Talk to you soon.